Curt Hennig, but to you people, I'm Mr. Perfect. And I know a lot of you people sitting there right now wonder what it's like to go through life without making any mistakes. No blemishes, no flaws, from head to toe, absolutely perfect. Yes, being perfect, it has its boring times, like a simple game of billiards. Well, fool to you common people. Like I said,
Hey, Curt Hennig fans, hello. Welcome to another episode of Nobody Beats Curt Hennig Nobody. I'm your host, Mrs. Witchy Perfect. We are back again. I told you we'd be back again this week. Wow, what a fiasco. So I'm recording this as of July 5th, only because like the July 4th weekend was very hectic and very busy for me. So if anyone does celebrate 4th of July, happy 4th of July to you. I really don't. I mean, I did see fireworks, but it was again on my porch, even though I wanted to go down to the local park and watch fireworks from there. And unfortunately, we had a downpour. Yes, we had a major thunderstorm here, and my family had to run for it. I got soaked because I had to go out and get my flag. It was a Wiccan flag because everyone knows I am Wiccan. I am a witch. But please don't hold that against me. Again, we're all here because of Curt Hennig, right? Let's keep that, let's keep that in mind. So anyway, I went out to get my flag so it wouldn't get ruined or blown away. That wind was really nasty. I mean, really, really nasty. I really just, I got my flag off and then my lantern. I have a solar lantern, and that was laying on the ground. And then I couldn't find the top to it. That was also laying on the ground because that wind was, like I said, so nasty, blowing everything around. Yes, a part of our house, needs to be replaced because it just blew away. The neighbors were nice enough to help us put that kind of back together, but wow, what a storm. And then, of course, later it did slow down a little bit. It stopped thunderstorming, and it was kind of drizzling. I'd say it was like a steady rain, but they still had the fireworks. So my family and I just came out on our porch and we watched the fireworks until 10 o'clock. And then we put my son to bed, of course. So so anyway, yes, we are back again. We are going to try to finish, and I'm going to try not to stop this so much because I know, I want you to hear what they have to say about Curt and why Curt didn't become WWF champion. But I just wanted to also put in some facts in there, the facts that maybe why, not maybe, but why we know of why Curt never became WWF champion. So I will try to stop it minimal, but there are some facts, extra facts I want to stick in there about what I've learned about Curt Hennig and why he never seemed to be the breadwinner, so to speak. All right, so here we are, and we're gonna go ahead and hit play.
And that's the thing when you're, a lot of these storylines are walk the line of reality. That's how you make it work. That's how you get it over. But you also have to be careful about how far you push it or how insensitive, in a sense, you go. And sometimes I don't think that people, would measure, in a sense, where we were. And I do remember, doing some of those and going, man, but we didn't have the immediate feedback like we have today. And so a lot of it to me would go out into the ether. It would just, it wasn't what was somebody going to do? Write a letter? That's kind of the way it worked that way. We didn't have a phone line. People could call and say, I can't believe you guys did that. But it was just a general feeling, and you had to go by that because you didn't get that kind of feedback as today. If you do something, before you're off the air, you already could get feedback of people saying, I can't believe that, or, it worked.
Yeah.
And you had that, these guys, of course, have a natural sense. That's who they are. They're gifted psychologists, as I've said before. They know how to get reaction from people, and they know how they're going to react in a lot of this. But sometimes when you do, it's the whole the Iraqi sympathizer, or you get into the terrorism stuff, as we saw. It's a minefield, and you have to be really careful. And I remember back then, to me that was kind of pushing it. And like I said, we didn't get that kind of feedback, so I never knew. I don't know how that reaction. You'd see it when you went to the arenas, but that was just really generated in heat, and you're like, awesome. You didn't know that these people really were thinking, you went too far with that.
Yeah, I just remember Bobby making those Rodney King jokes. Oh my Lord, dude, police brutality, and it's changed over the years, obviously, how you looked at these things. But in '91, when he's saying that, and it's so fresh in the news, it's so fresh in media that.
Well, and here's the thing, now that in '91, now we were starting to see what people were experiencing when dealing with the cops. And, I don't think that they pushed it too far. I think that it was just something that was fresh. So everyone was still kind of, getting used to the fact that, hey, the cops are they didn't start it, but I mean, people were starting to capture the police beating people up for no reason. And so, I mean, now that someone had a camera, and cameras were starting to become sophisticated, I guess. In the 80s, they had those big, bulky camcorders and stuff. And now you were seeing it in real time. All this stuff was happening right in front of our noses. It had been happening for many, 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 many years. And now finally someone had the cojones to, videotape these people brutally hurting people. So I think the thing Curt was trying to, and I think Bobby Heenan too, was trying to bring light to the fact of, hey, guys, this has been going on for years. Where have you guys been this whole time? But then, it kind of fit because Bossman was a correctional officer. He was, back in the day, before he was a wrestler, he was a corrections officer for the Cobb County, Georgia. So, I mean, it kind of fit in with Bossman's, gimmick. And it did generate heat for Curt, but yet it's still, I don't know, people say, oh, Jim Crow stuff is still going on. Yeah, I'm sure it is. No doubt about that. But, a lot of this stuff was not videotaped before. So we had never seen the police brutally beating someone up for no apparent reason, right? And I'm not going to get into politics, especially my brand of politics, because people just don't like that and they want to turn me off. Well, I'm not going to cater to anyone, but that's why a lot of people say that pro wrestling and politics are one and the same. So, a lot of our leaders today act like pro wrestlers who are just gimmicks. They don't wrestle or anything, but, because can you see, any of these old people wrestling, right? Even though Donald Trump, and I know I'm not going to be promoting this because I just said his name, but if you say Donald Trump's name, people in YouTube, they cry. So, but if you have Donald Trump who thinks he's a wrestler and thinks he is a gimmick. Okay. He is a gimmick. But he's always wanted to be a wrestler. He just didn't like the wrestling part, the athletic part that you have to be an athlete to do so. I do think he is a gimmick, and I don't think that's the real Donald Trump. I think that is just his gimmick, and he's gotten over with it. There's a lot of Trump supporters. So, I honestly think everyone in politics as well as wrestling and it's interchangeable. You have Linda McMahon, who is the Secretary of Education, who knows nothing about education. Both her kids went to private schools. So, and then you have Triple H, and then I just saw Cody Rhodes actually. He came out taking pictures with RFK Jr., who I do not like. And again, that is my brand of politics. Trigger warning for anyone. If you like RFK Jr., great. I'm glad for you. But I don't. I don't trust any politician as far as I can throw my car. I think everyone, if you watch Angel and Friends every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Angel's show, his links are in my description field. If anyone has seen me or heard me on Angel's show, you know my politics. You know what that's all about. So if you don't want to watch anymore, well, I'm sorry, but I hope we can at least put the politics aside and let's talk about wrestling. So, but I mean, again, here we have politics and wrestling coming together. And, Bobby Heenan says something about, we'll furnish the cameraman and we will show our own justice, right? So he was kind of playing up, yes, on the Rodney King thing. I don't think he pushed it too far. I think he was just kind of, it fit, like I said, because it fit with the Big Boss Man, because Boss Man was a correctional officer. So, it kind of fit in that, but he wasn't a real police officer to say, he just was a correctional officer. Okay. So I kind of get where he may have pushed it a little bit, but it still fit. Okay. It still fit the narrative and it still fit the upcoming match. And I think by then Curt's back was kind of shot, but Curt just wanted to be, in the wrestling scene. So he wanted to just, wrestle through the pain. And that's what a lot of these wrestlers did. And they tried to push their, it's kind of like, I always say that when it comes to that stuff, like when I had a sports injury, I would always want to play through the pain because I wanted to play, right? I mean, this was Curt's life. Everyone knows Curt loved wrestling. It was in his life. It was his life. So sometimes, yeah, I could see him, wrestling through the pain almost, shake it off kind of thing. The problem is that led to worse and worse, back problems for him. And which, kind of, it kept him from his dream of, and being the wrestler he was, it kind of kept him limited. He wasn't able to do things that he could have done back when he was in Portland or back when he was in AWA. So, I feel for him here because, this was the start of the back problems. And then, his back was really bad. Brett says in his book, it was really bad to the point of all he could do was fish. He had to stay home and he couldn't do what he loved to do. Even though Brett says in his book, I called Curt every day. Curt said, yes, I'm going to be there. And again, Curt's back was completely shot. And I think this was before the surgery he had that never really fixed it. But still, this was before SummerSlam 91, I believe, was before the whatever back surgery he had. So he was just kind of on muscle relaxers so that his back wouldn't bother him so much. But still gave 110%, 120% for Bret Hart and for those fans because he loved the business. He loved wrestling. He loved entertaining fans. He loved entertaining people. That was Curt. That was definitely Curt Hennig in a nutshell. All right, more of this.
It's a beating down a man and someone in the bushes videotaping it with a camcorder and it changed the world for a lot of different reasons, but bringing it up into a storyline for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 7, when you already have alleged bomb threats over an Iraqi sympathizer character. Man, you're hitting too many checkbox here of how many times can we piss somebody off at one event, and I feel like that might have gone too far though. But that's how I felt about that. Bossman doesn't get the Intercontinental title. We go to SummerSlam 91. This is when Mr. Perfect's back. He cannot continue any longer. He has to step away from the ring. He fights Bret Hart in maybe the second greatest SummerSlam match of all time. The other one would be Bret Hart versus Bulldog.
Bulldog,
Mr.
yeah.
Perfect goes into a match knowing he needs surgery, knowing he has bulging discs. Did you speak with him? Were you aware of how injured he was heading into this?
Well, didn't speak to him about it. It was something, you never really would, it was kind of a, I don't know, jinx thing or something like that. You never talk to anybody who was, dealing with something, an injury, especially that was impacting their performance, their career. But you could see how, what he was experiencing just by the way he moved. And I've said this before, that I've always been just astounded when I look back at some of these matches. And I think back to when my dog's barking.
I don't hear him.
Yeah. I think back to looking at some of these guys in the ring during these matches and go, and knowing what they look like and were moving like before they went out there. And then you see what they do, and they're not, not doing certain moves. They're not moving a certain way, it's full out when they're out there. Dynamite Kid was the same way, that, you knew that guy was destroyed and he was going out there. You never know it when they're out there in the ring. And you look at that match with Bret, and, Curt's doing all these bridges and the snap suplexes, and you got to be thinking every time. Can you imagine every time he's doing that? And then Bret blocks in the sharpshooter, and it's just amazing that you look at him and how he performed. It's just amazing to me that these guys, that they would do it, and it was 100%. Went out there 100%, and maybe he was 40%, or wherever. You can't even imagine what he was going through. And pain is a great equalizer, as far as you can have that thought in your brain, I'm going to do something, if your body is pain is supposed to stop you from doing that. And watch that match. Maybe you saw something in it. I didn't. I love seeing the comments, and sometimes that people say, well, I can't believe he didn't do this or he didn't do that. You're like, please, give me. If you knew that what a mess his back was then, and him going out there and just giving it his all, and then when he comes back, oh God, I mean, could probably wanted to crawl. I don't think that you can't. It didn't help his physical condition.
No, and in fact, like I said, a lot of people still talk about, and we've watched some of it here. We will watch it again for the 50th. I have some, other matches I want to get to for my 50th, episode 150. Sorry, my 150th. And that'll be next week, since this is episode 149. So next week we will have, my favorite matches of, Curt Hennig and stuff. Some with Bret, some with, others. But I mean, when you come down to it, and again, this is what we loved about Curt, was the fact that he literally would go out there and give it his all, even if he was hurt. And, you almost want to say, Curt, don't do that. But that was Curt's life. Curt's life is a performer, and he did it well. He did it perfectly, right? He performed in front of the fans and wanted those fans to come out and say, wow, that was a great match. That was such a great match. I can't wait to see another one. Not knowing, and of course, if you watch that match not knowing Curt's back was shot, you'd be like, wow, that was the greatest match ever, between him and Bret. And Bret, even, I mean, if there's one person that Bret Hart could wrestle again, it would definitely be Curt Hennig. And I think if they could have fought each other or had matches in the territories. You know, if Curt had gone up to Calgary and done some work for Stu Hart, and Bret was there, and they could have had great matches even in the territory days. Unfortunately, that never happened. We never got to see those matches between a young Curt Hennig and a young Bret Hart. But when you come down to it, this match was Curt's bread and butter. He didn't care that his back was, you know, in agony. And again, he did take some muscle relaxers, but Bret admitted in not only, if you want to see this, they do have it on YouTube. It's The Life and Times of Mr. Perfect. Bret talks in there about it. And of course, he talks about it in his book. So if you want to get Bret the Hitman Hart, I think it is. It is on Audible. So if you want to, you know, catch it on Audible, you can. And I can't thank Bret enough for this, because he praises, he has nothing but affection for not only Curt, but also Rick Rude, who was a great wrestler. And he hung out with, you got to remember, guys, these guys all hung out afterwards, you know, in a bar somewhere. So, you know, it would not have surprised me if Curt afterwards went to the bar, you know, kind of got a little numb with the pain, and, you know, especially after a great match that he had at SummerSlam 1991. And that's what that's what we fans miss the most about wrestling, I think, you know, because of the modern wrestling leaves a lot to be desired. Whereas I think that, you know, when it comes to Curt and Bret, two very great professional wrestlers. Curt was perfect. But no, Bret was great. Okay. He was a great professional wrestler, great second generation wrestler, just like Curt. And even, you know, Bret admitted that Curt and Bret, you know, they had a lot in common. Their backgrounds were very similar because they both had dads that were wrestlers. Now, Bret's dad was a promoter, whereas Larry Hennig was really just more of a wrestler. And then he retired and kind of handed it over to Curt and said, here, you know, take the ball and run with it. So, but I think if that would have been some great matches to see when they both were young and not, they didn't have as many injuries. I know Bret talks about some of his injuries he had throughout the years. And I can only imagine that Curt's back, I mean, he had surgery. It didn't fix the problem. And the man was trying not to end up in a wheelchair, as Curt says himself, you know, he says it himself in the documentary, or if you ever seen any shoot interviews with Curt Hennig, he does talk about that. So, all right, here we go.
So that's what makes that match to me even more amazing, Steve, is what condition he was in, and then he pulled that performance off.
I agree. I agree. When you are needing surgery and you go out there and every step you take, you're wincing, and you can see in his face, it's like he was biting down a little bit. Well, because he was walking, and he's like, but you're also every step hurts.
Yeah, and you know, like, as he's, you know, people look at it, he's selling or something, you know. I don't think he had to sell much that day.
No, when you need a back surgery, like there's a difference between like, oh, I hurt my hand, I'll just tape it up and go out there. No, you're back.
Well, and the thing is, everyone has to understand that when you have a back injury, and you're taking bumps as you are now, I'm pretty sure, and you can ask Bret Hart if you know him personally, I'm sure Bret took very good care of Curt, and he told Curt, hey, you know, dude, I got you. I'm going to make it as painless as possible. Now, yes, Curt was still out there, still doing stunts and stuff, still taking backdrops, still taking all these bumps, that especially when he hit the back. And like I said, Bret in his book has talked about, you know, or in shoot interviews, he's talked about where he would take a front bump, a chest bump, in the turnbuckle, and it looked so devastatingly awful, but it actually hurt less than if he would take a back bump to the turnbuckle on his, you know, a back bump. So, so even though, you know, you have these, you don't do this, but you do that, you know, Curt, again, a consummate professional. He was consistent. And again, he did it because he loved his fans. He wanted to give his fans and Bret 110%. Remember, Curt and Bret were friends. They were friends outside of, work. So they did hang out. They did, they would talk about their matches beforehand. And no doubt about it that, Curt was going to protect Bret, and Bret was definitely going to protect Curt. Thank you to Bret Hart for taking care of Curt in the ring. And I know, like I said, I'm sure Bret turned to Curt and said, you know what, dude, I'm going to make this as painless as possible. Let's just go out and have a great match, and I'll take care of you. That's what you did. You took care of your opponent. You weren't in there to hurt anybody. You were in there to wrestle. You were in there to entertain the fans and put on a good show. And the great showmen that they both are, kudos to Curt and Bret. 100% grade A, 5-star. I give it a trillion stars. Okay. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, about the Dave Meltzer stuff. So anyway, I give it a trillion stars. I think Bret and Curt knocked it out of the park, even though Curt was obviously very hurt, his muscle. And again, Bret does admit in his book that he was having muscle spasms. So he also said that in Curt's documentary. So again, I think WWE uploaded it, so it probably will never be taken down. I hope not, knock on wood, that it will never be taken down. But if you guys do want to look that up, it's on WWE's YouTube site, or you can just search it on YouTube. It is The Life and Times of Mr. Perfect.
Back is, kind of getting your legs going, kind of getting your whole body going.
It's the center of your whole movement.
And you're getting slammed over and over on the thing that you need surgery on.
Yeah. Imagine, everybody, most people have had their back go out at some point in your life. Remember what that was like. That is the center of all your mobility, everything, from your legs, your arms, every time you twist, everything. And imagine that is just on fire, and every movement, and then you're doing that.
One of the best matches of all time.
You're not just trying to get off the couch.
Yeah. No, like I think I said before, when I sleep on my arm wrong and it hurts, and he's like, "Well, I have bulging discs. I need back surgery, but let's go out and have one of the best matches of my career," which I honestly think it is. Even Bret Hart said that, he told Curt, like, "Hey, man, like, I know you're hurt. You don't have to do this." And Curt told him, like, "No, I'm going out there because you deserve this, and you've worked your ass off. And if I don't go out there and you beat me and you beat somebody else, like, who cares if you beat Skinner? I love Skinner, but who cares if you beat Skinner for the Intercontinental title? No, you're going to beat the guy who's had the title for the past 8 months. So let's go out there and do it." And again, they stole the show. They had an amazing match, and that's when we.
And like I said, he's Curt wanted to not only do this for Bret, but also do it for the fans. Because, there were some Mr. Perfect fans. I hate to break it to you, even though he was a heel, but he was so cool. Everyone wanted to be, friends with Mr. Perfect, right? And that's the thing. Like, you wanted to buy Curt a drink because he was just so charismatic and so, determined. So when he went out there for SummerSlam 1991, no doubt in my mind that literally you had him giving 110% or more to the fans. So, and that's what made that match so worthwhile seeing. And yes, Bret has literally, talked about Curt up and down. He thanked him and stuff. And like I said, it wasn't just Curt taking care of Bret. It was Bret taking care of Curt. So you got to give kudos to Bret Hart because, why wouldn't you? They are both professionals, as I said. And again, I'm trying not to, bring too much into this, but the mutual respect that Curt had for Bret and Bret had for Curt, you couldn't get two better professional wrestlers to have mutual respect for each other. And they knew that they could do things like a Russian leg sweep with each other because they knew that they weren't going to do anything dumb to get the other person hurt. Bret trusted Curt and Curt trusted Bret. So again, the mutual respect that they have for each other, but also that they, they worked together very well. And that's why we had some of those great matches in 89. And then when it got to 1991, we knew that was going to be spectacular. You knew Curt was going to come out there, and he didn't matter. It didn't matter if he couldn't walk. That man would get to the ring somehow. He would do the best performance he could do at that time. And you knew it was going to be something spectacular to behold, because again, not only did Curt do this for Brett, but he did it for the fans. So the fans would be entertained. Going home from SummerSlam, even though, Hogan and Warrior and Slaughter and stuff left a lot to be desired, you still had the Curt Hennig, Bret Hart match, which was, people were like, oh, I want to see that again. And unfortunately, we couldn't see that after 91 because Curt's back was shot by then. So
he also had Mr. Perfect with Coach, his other manager, his last manager, Coach. And it's a physical man who, think of a gym teacher when you were a kid. That is what Coach looks like. He's got the visor on, the big glasses, the sweatsuit, the whistle, before Bill Alfonso used it every single match in ECW. Why go from genius to Bobby Heenan to Coach?
Coach. That's another one. I don't have any idea. Need him.
Jameson. We should have given him Jameson instead of Coach.
Well, but it made no sense. The fact it was just so short lived. I think everyone realized it. Shortly after.
Let's just erase that from people's brains. Like put up the Men in Black, erase your brain.
Yeah.
Boom, it's gone. Oh, all right, moving on. Mr. Perfect.
No, I don't understand why they put him with Coach, but they just said, because Bobby he didn't like traveling a lot, and he was tired of doing that, and he was becoming more of a color man, so a commentator. Bobby just didn't like being out on the road as much. He still had a daughter at home that he was trying to, he wanted to see, I'm sure. And, it comes down to the point of, yes, Curt didn't need a manager. I think Curt was fine on his own, but in their short wisdom, they thought the Coach would be good for him. So whatever.
Rick, though, does commentary from this point on. He's going to do commentary until Ric Flair comes in with Bobby Heenan, eventually becoming Ric Flair's executive consultant, involved in every damn Ric Flair storyline.
Glorified manager.
Winning the world title at Royal Rumble 92 to apparently going to post naked photos of Miss Elizabeth up in the big screen at WrestleMania 8, even leading to SummerSlam 92, where it's going to be, what corner is Mr. Perfect in? Is it Ultimate Warrior or is it the Macho Man?
He was in neither.
Where did you land on Mr. Perfect being on commentary and then being executive consultant? I enjoyed it, but where you worked with him as a wrestler, what was it like working with him as a broadcast journalist?
Yeah, well, it was cool because he came to the studio more often, and so got to spend more time.
Oh, nice.
But it was out of necessity. He couldn't work. And I think that was, I always liked that aspect of it, that Vince would, keep the guys around. And that was kind of the way you could do it, keep them involved. And it was also, selfishly for Vince in the sense that they keep them near, and then at some point when I need them, I can put them back into action, which we saw with Randy. Randy never wanted to be a commentator, but it was, Vince made it attractive in a sense as far as the money went, and then he ended up being, whenever they had an issue with somebody, wherever, Randy would pop in, take care of it. And so that was part of it. But I don't think that Curt really ever enjoyed it, immensely. I think he, it was a good gig, but he always wanted to be in the ring. And I think it was really difficult for him during that period of time, even though he was getting well paid for, he had that insurance policy, the Lloyd's of London, that, he was, so he didn't have to work.
Well, not only that, but I think that, I mean, once a wrestler, always a wrestler. You can't take the guy out of wrestling, right? Not only that, but like I do think Curt did like the fact that he could say pretty much anything he wanted within reason. And I have some of Curt when he was commentator. This was more like 95, 96. And I think it's pretty cool that, you know, he got to sit there with Vince McMahon. He could tell off Vince McMahon just like Jesse did. Jesse admits that that was fun, you know, that you could pretty much say anything you wanted to your boss and he'd have to sit there and take it, right? I know Curt was a true consummate wrestler professional, but you know, being commentator, you know, he made it more charismatic. You know, he was the heel until Survivor Series 1992, and then he would eventually come back. He's like Randy Savage. You know, when Vince needed him to come back because the Ultimate Warrior and the British Bulldog got fired before Survivor Series 1992. You know, Curt stepped up to the plate and said, yeah, okay, I'll come back. I don't think his back was ever the same, you know, even after the surgery. I just don't think it was ever the same. And I think he had a lot of matches in 92 and 93. Well, more 93. 93, he had a lot of matches, and he, again, you know, he had that feud with Shawn Michaels, and he three-peat on a house show. So I think there's a lot of, yeah, Curt wanted to get back into the ring, but I think he had fun saying what he wanted to say within reason. You know, it's like you couldn't just sit there and swear your head off or anything. You couldn't use profanity or anything. But I think that in 96, oh my gosh, when you, and I've showed this on the show where him and Austin get into it. And I just like when he says, you know what, Austin, don't say you can beat my ass unless you beat my ass. Right? And you're like, oh, Mr. Perfect just swore. Whoa, what? So, I mean, it was like an eclipse. It rarely happened. But I'm talking like, you know, back in the days of Vince where you really couldn't do that stuff. But you could still kind of, you know, make fun of Vince McMahon. You could kind of make fun of, you know, the other wrestlers as a heel. You could do that because there's nothing they could do to you. You were a commentator. And they didn't, back then, they didn't go after commentators. But I think, it may have something to do. I think the thing is, a lot of people don't know that Curt was a wrestler. He was not a commentator. He may have enjoyed it, and he may not have had to work, but it's something that kept him in the business. It kept him close to the ring. It kept him close to the business. And something Larry Hennig said in a shoot interview, Curt's father, is that Vince McMahon actually cried at Curt's funeral. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but when Larry said that, I kind of was like, wow, that means that Curt made an impact on Vince. And I don't know if it didn't really have a lot to do with, you know, oh, well, he never made him champ. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about he made an impact on Vince McMahon enough to have Vince get emotional. Okay. I'm not talking they were like best friends in the whole world and they hung out together. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that you have a person like Curt Hennig who was never given a chance at that title. He never really kissed behind, you know, backstage. He didn't play the backstage politics. Curt just said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And he did that often. Obviously, we know with the whole commentating thing. And then, of course, with the coming back and teasing it, but then he had already talked to Eric Bischoff. So I think there was mutual respect between Vince and Curt. I don't, like I said, I don't think they hung out together. I don't think they were friends or whatever. In fact, I think there are some ribs that I heard about Vince McMahon and Curt. Curt played some ribs on Vince McMahon. And Curt did that to everybody. So, you know. But I think there was a mutual respect there between Curt and Vince that they had mutually exclusively. Okay. Don't quote me on that, but because you can't ask Curt because he's no longer with us, unfortunately. And you can't ask Vince because Vince ain't talking. So,
but he loved being around the business. That was just his life, was with a lot of these guys. And so it gave him more chance, he could get home more. But I think that when it came down to it, he wanted to get back in the ring. And I think that when the opportunity came up, and maybe he wasn't ready at the time, but it was out of necessity that and Vince made it worthwhile. So I think it was just it was great to keep him there. I think that was one of the best aspects of it.
Yeah, I've watched, as I mentioned 1,000 times, I watched all the Superstars from '92 on Peacock recently, and he's on commentary the whole time, the whole year, and he's very good with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he was
they're
good.
A perfect pair, and that's where I started noticing. I'll try to do it. I did it, sort of, not really, but he was perfect at throwing it in the sky and catching it with Vince, and then he made Ric Flair more of a threat. Because Bobby Heenan was a goofball in a weasel costume sometimes. You'd see him do funny things. Mr. Perfect, we knew who he was. We knew what a killer he could be in the ring. So having him with Ric Flair really, I think, added more heat and more anger towards Ric Flair, because now Flair doesn't just have Bobby Heenan as a goofball manager. He's got a killer, Mr. Perfect, as his executive consultant. They have a stable, a faction growing or just around Ric Flair. I really enjoyed it because like you said, it kept Mr. Perfect in the game, but it also kept him on air. But when they did need him, Survivor Series 92, they came calling, because we did a whole episode about it, is Warrior gets fired, he's out. Well, we need someone to take his place. Mr. Perfect gets the call. Now, I don't know how much Mr. Perfect's being paid out of his insurance policy, but I can imagine it's a lot. So do you think, you don't have probably the answer, but do you think he was getting paid more money to be an active wrestler, or to sit at home collecting a big ass payday doing nothing except commentary?
Well, I've heard different amounts. I think I heard one time it was like $300,000 or something. I don't know. But I think that it was enough that he didn't have to work. But those guys at the time, especially at Curt's level, they could bring home $500,000 or more. But at the same time, you're thinking, well, but then I don't have to get my body beaten up every night, have that car wreck every night. So, and then he's getting paid more. He's getting paid extra for doing the commentary stuff too. I think probably at the time it was probably faster going back in there than he wanted to. But I think that Vince made it worthwhile, and I don't know how that all got settled. I don't know if Vince had to pay off the rest of the insurance policy or something, because if he's going to go back in the ring, I'm sure Lloyd's of London is not going to be happy about paying him. They're paying him basically not to wrestle anymore. So whatever that deal was, must have really been worth it to Curt for him to go back in, because he certainly wasn't 100% at that point.
No. And I've heard stories of like Rick Rude being on the same policy, where when he came back into the WWF in 97-ish, he couldn't take bumps because the insurance company is like, so you're going to work as a wrestler? He's like, no.
Okay.
Like, I'll do stuff, but I won't take bumps. Like, so we're going to pay you, and you're also going to get paid by them, but you're not going to wrestle. Like, and Rick Rude had an issue. That's why he couldn't wrestle in WCW toward the later time, because Eric Bischoff's like, I'm not paying off your insurance for you to wrestle. Like, it cost me more money to pay this off than for you to actually wrestle.
All right.
So, yeah. Mr. Perfect only lasted about a year in ring in the WWF from 93, and he went back on commentary in 94, and they tried to, it's funny because on the Mr. Perfect documentary, they try to suggest that him and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, were together forever. They're together for about like a week, maybe two. And then Curt left for WCW while on Raw, they're airing old episodes of things that were taped where Mr. Perfect turns heel, or Wild Man Mark Mary joins up with Triple H, and then he goes off to WCW. and eventually joins the NWO, like everybody who ever worked in the WWF.
Right.
And he enjoyed a nice run there for a while as just Curt Hennig, but then eventually he starts the Rap is Crap, where he becomes a Southern boy, Red Texas. What was their stable name? Something probably
West
offensive.
Texas Rednecks.
But apparently, as time would go on,
the guy's thinking of the West Texas Rednecks.
people would say he had the most fun being a Rap is Crap Texas cowboy in WCW than he was Mr. Perfect. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe too. But
well, he did. The thing is, Curt did wrestle somewhat during this time of Rap is Crap. The thing is, he did the Rap is Crap thing because at the time they needed something to, because they were co-authoring rap stuff. So they needed something to, and a lot of the fans didn't like rap. So they needed something to be on the other side. And Conan and Curt, and Conan says this because he answered my letters, he answered my question the one time I asked. And I've heard all kinds of stuff about, how Conan talks about, that Curt and him, Curt wasn't really into the whole West Texas Rednecks because they weren't really, high up on the card. But, Conan said, hey, dude, you're Curt Hennig. You can do anything you want. Let's just knock this out of the park. And who cares if we're main event or not? So I think Curt wanted to be higher on the card than expected because, people really loved Rap is Crap. They love the West Texas Rednecks. Anyone who hates rap and loves country, and Curt Hennig himself loved country. He says that in an interview that he loves all music, but he loved country the most. And there was, if you go back and listen to the interview that they did with 83 Weeks and Eric Bischoff said that Curt had his own restaurant area, like an area of a restaurant where the country singers would come in. And Curt loved country music. He really did. And during that West Texas Redneck stuff, he had that little feud with Chad Brock. Now, if you don't know anything about country because you don't listen to it or you don't like it, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing because we need to get to our main event. But if you do know anything about Chad Brock or country music, or at the time, Chad Brock, I didn't know this until I found out later that Chad Brock was actually a wrestler. Back in 96, he, 95, 96, he had gone in WCW, in fact, and tried to become a professional wrestler, but he had a career-ending injury and went to country music instead and found out that he was actually a better country singer than a wrestler. So there you go. And of course, they always build Curt as being the jealous one. He was supposed to be jealous of, Chad Brock and whatever. And again, for those who don't listen to country, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. That's fine. You can look this all up, I'm sure. But they did have, and what's funny is they won't show that. And I'm guessing it's because they have to pay royalties to Chad Brock for being on WCW Nitro, because Chad Brock gives he does like his song, Lightning Does the Work, which I actually like that song. I'm sure Curt liked it too. He's kind of like a fanboy almost a little bit, when it comes to, but he was naming, and if you actually go back and watch Curt perform when they were performing the Rap is Crap song on Nitro, they actually would go and he would start naming off, country singers I'm sure that he liked and listened to. Alan Jackson, John Anderson, Mark Wills, Mark Chestnut is a big one. I know Curt really liked Mark Chestnut. Who doesn't? He has really great songs. But anyway, again, I also listen to country, so I knew exactly who all those people were. And if you don't, that's fine. You don't listen to country. That's okay. But when you hear all that, and it's something that made me love Curt even more as a person, but also as a wrestler. But I love the West Texas Rednecks. In fact, I still have Rap is Crap get stuck in my head. And that whole thing, I actually watched WCW more because of the Rap is Crap and the West Texas Rednecks, and of course because of Curt. But like I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to like, I wanted to be a singer when I was younger, and I wanted to be up there on stage with Curt. I thought that would have been so cool if I could have been up there singing with Curt Hennig, the Rap is Crap thing. So kudos to Curt to actually finding something that aligned with him personally, because again, he did enjoy country music personally. So, and even Eric Bischoff talks about this. When you find something that aligns with a wrestler and they enjoy it and they enjoy doing it. Now, again, Conan says that Curt wasn't really into it as much because he should have been, the main event and higher on the card. I totally agree with that. I do think that Curt should have been the main event. They should have been the main event. It was rap versus country. And all the country people thought that the West Texas Rednecks were baby faces. So, and all the rap people thought they were heels. What they were trying to do was to make the West Texas Rednecks a big heel faction, but it didn't work because people loved the people who loved country loved the fact that, that they had representation in the West Texas Rednecks in WCW. So again, it worked because there was a lot of people who liked rap who didn't like country. There's a lot of people who like country who didn't like rap. So I was one of those. I'm sorry, I don't like rap. I never got into rap. I'm sorry. I just couldn't. But I did get heavily into country, especially 90s country, which was stuff I grew up with. So, I grew up with Alan Jackson, with John Anderson. I grew up with Mark Wills and Mark Chestnut. So, I know a lot of their songs because I grew up with that stuff, in the 90s. But anyway, let's get to our main event because we're going to be over time and I have a lot of editing to do. Not really, but kind of do. So our main event is going to be Curt and Larry Hennig, or Larry Hennig and Curt against the Road Warriors. Again, this is like round 2 for them, I think. So, all right, we're going to take it away and hopefully, well, anyway, this is our main event, the Road Warriors, and I think Paul Ellering is with them, and Larry Hennig and Curt Hennig. So take it away, guys.
On my left, the AWA champion, Precious Paul Ellering, presents from Chicago, Illinois, weighing combined weight of 580 pounds, the Road Warriors. Their opponents, on my right, with a combined weight of 540 pounds, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the father and son team, Curt and Larry Hennig. Ladies and gentlemen,
here they're
please
considered
stay back away from
heels.
the ring.
Oh, this place is bedlam. Absolutely. We have turned
Like, how is that possible
Ormond
that
Memorial
Curt and Larry
Coliseum
are like getting booed?
into an arena
babies.
of bedlam. My goodness, these people, 13,000 of them on their feet. I think most of them are right around the ring here. Oh, I get to hold the World Tag Team Wrestling Champion belts right here on my lap. Believe me, whoever asks me for these is going to get them right away. The Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk. That's Hawk right there with his back to you. Animal will be waiting outside the ring. And Hawk is going to be in there against Curt Hennig.
No, that's Animal. This guy gets a little turned around. It's okay.
And they both lock up. In the middle of the ring. This is the first of our world title bouts. Look at that. He just picked Curt Hennig up He just picked him up like he was a doll of some kind, and just threw him over there alongside the ring, but Curt responded. Now Hawk again just throws Curt Hennig off of him, but Hennig lands on his feet, which I don't think is exactly what Hawk intended. Again, they lock up. And again, he shoves Larry, or rather Curt, into the turnbuckle. These men are powerful. Well, you've got 4 men in there, extremely powerful. But these Road Warriors, they are absolutely 2 of the most massive individuals I've ever seen. They're like buildings. Arm drag by Curt Hennig. Drop kick by Curt Hennig, and out goes Hawk. Oh, yeah. Hawk landed on his feet, but outside the ring. Now Hawk makes the tag with his partner Animal. Very appropriately named. Hawk in there with full Nelson now. Curt Hennig on Hawk. I think I was telling you before that Hawk was Animal and Animal was Hawk. That's Hawk in there right now. Hawk in there with Curt Hennig. Hawk powering out of that full Nelson, and applies an elbow smash inside the face. Curt Hennig comes back with a smash of his own. Side headlock against the ropes. Now in the center of the ring. And Curt makes the tag with his father, Larry the Axe Hennig, who drives the fist in the back. And now double shot there along the ears. And a standoff. Hawk ran into Larry Hennig, and that's just a couple of buildings running into each other. Look at the bodies on these men. Again, and a slap. Both men slap each other's faces. And again, it's just a head-on collision that goes nowhere. Now we have a test of strength between Hawk and Larry Hennig. Manager Paul Ellering over here alongside the ring, pounding on the ring. Ellering, of course, once a very successful wrestler, professional wrestler in his own right. He was here in Portland a few times at the sports arena. But this is history tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're making history. We're celebrating a wrestling extravaganza. The biggest wrestling event ever in the Northwest. Oh, spin around and smashed by Larry Hennig. Goes Hawk into his son, Curt Hennig. Here we go. Into that other turnbuckle, and he lays one on Animal. And now, another meeting of the minds. Now a rake across the face by Hawk on Larry Hennig. Hawk working away on Hennig in the corner. Now they double team on Larry, the Axe Hennig, who's definitely in the wrong corner right now. Hennig just kind of crawls over that bottom rope. Hawk still working on Hennig, and now Animal comes in, lays a boot on him, another boot, another boot. Larry Hennig standing outside the ring, trying to get to his senses. And again, another boot, this time applied by Hawk. Larry Hennig trying to walk that off. And Paul Ellering, he's walking away from Larry. Now Larry grabs the feet of Hawk. And he's pulling on the left leg of Hawk, and he puts on the hamstring. And a left-hand shot upside the face. Now he pulls Hawk right out on the concrete. Now they're going to go at it outside. Rights and lefts. This is a slugfest right outside the ring. Right now, Hawk getting the best of Larry Hennig. Oh! Slams his face down on edge of the ring. He gets Hennig inside the ring as he's met by Animal. And again, they do some teamwork on Larry. That's broken up by referee Sandy Barr. And now Hawk's got Larry Hennig in the corner. Animal working on him. And Larry Hennig just caught Animal's right foot and spins him around. Smashes him with the forearm. Makes the tag with his son, Curt Hennig. An uppercut by Curt. Into the ropes. Goes Animal. Animal just got nailed in the thigh. Now Larry. Curt Hennig going for the old bell ringer on Animal. He makes the tag with Hawk. And Curt goes right to work on Hawk. There's an uppercut. Here comes an arm whip. Into the ropes. Coming off those ropes. Nails Hawk right smack in the midsection. And picks up an atomic drop. And Hawk lands in the corner over there. Curt Hennig. A reversal left. Oh, man, he gets that turnbuckle right above us with a whole lot of velocity. Hawk now throws Curt Hennig into the power body slam. Hennig went down. Hawk in control. Arm whip into the ropes. A victory roll. Curt Hennig going for a victory roll, but Hawk made the tag with Animal, and Curt doesn't know it. He just took a big boot upside the back now. Curt didn't know that the tag had been made just when he was getting Hawk into a victory roll, and now a tag is made again, Animal and Hawk. And they double, oh man, a double shot into that turnbuckle. The whip into the rope. Clothesline. Sandy Barr trying to get Larry Hennig back into his corner. Animal trying to go for a pin, and Curt Hennig worked his way out of that. Hennig would definitely love to get over to that corner, be able to make a tag with his father. But the Road Warriors have been doing a pretty good job keeping him at bay and keeping him away from that corner. Animal in control right now of Curt Hennig. Hennig trying to football style work his way over to make a tag with his father. Here comes Hawk, and he made the tag. He made the tag with Larry. But referee Sandy Barr didn't see it. So he couldn't. Oh, another 2, 3 double shots into that turnbuckle. Oh, there can't be anything left of Curt Hennig's back. The Road Warriors. They don't care how they get a match as long as they hurt somebody and win. That's why they're the world champion. Curt Hennig makes the tag with his father. Father comes in like a bull. And now smash the Road Warriors. Clothesline. Larry Hennig on Animal. Going for the pin. 1, 2. And Hawk came in and broke that up. Larry Hennig using the ropes. And he's being tackled by Paul Ellering. He was being tackled by Ellering, the manager of the Road Warriors. And now the Road Warriors have both got Larry Hennig. Throw him into that iron post. All this action outside the ring. Here comes Curt Hennig to his father's rescue. Will not be. He drop kicked Animal right down on his face. And he drop kicked Hawk right in the chops. There, Curt Hennig doing all the work right now. Oh, flying wedge. 1. Oh, man. Hawk came in and just laid that big boot upside the head of Curt Hennig. Here comes the arm whip into the ropes, and another clothesline coming off those ropes. Hawk and Animal both in there working on Curt Hennig. Sandy Barr trying to gain some kind of control in there, but the Road Warriors are teaming up. A double clothesline. Again, using that teamwork, that devastating teamwork, flying off that top rope. Sandy Barr is called for disqualification. Here comes Billy Jack Hayes. Billy Jack Hayes has jumped into the ring. He's coming to the aid of the Hennig. He is all over the Road
That's
Warriors.
because me and Curt were friends in Portland.
Hennig working on Animal.
Whoa.
Hayes, and they're working on clock. Clock is being thrown outside the ring.
All right, so we're gonna stop sharing there. Yeah, everyone should remember. If you don't remember, Billy Jack Haynes and Curt worked in Portland together, so I'm not surprised that he would come out and save him and his dad. Well, again, guys, we've come to the end of another episode here. Again, everyone will hear shameless plugs, and remember that the outro song is AI generated. So please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you like the show, and share it with all your wrestling fans, all your Curt Hennig fans that you know of. We'll be back again next week. Next week will be a special. It's my 150th 150 episode. Can you believe it? We've had 150 episodes of this show, even though it was called something else beforehand. But I mean, I think it's something to aspire to when you can actually come on here and talk about the man that you admired in Curt Hennig for so long. I enjoyed his wrestling, and I admire him as a person, as a man. He was a great man, a great father, and a great husband. So, I mean, that's it for me. But again, check me out next week, because we're going to have several matches that are kind of my favorite, that I've always enjoyed. Yes, I'm going to probably cringe through them, because I know we're probably going to watch the SummerSlam match, which was Curt and Brett, and then maybe some WCW stuff. Maybe we could get into the West Texas Redneck stuff, but I think a lot of that stuff would have to be shown only on Rumble because of copyright stuff. Again, this makes YouTube cry. So anyway, if you enjoyed my show, like I said, please like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends about me, and so that we can grow this channel. If you want to leave a comment, that's fine. Leave a comment about Curt Hennig and what he meant to you, or tell me you like the show, you don't like the show, whatever. Here, I don't care. All right, so I will see you next week, and remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect. Nobody. Bye, guys. Hey, Curt Hennig fans. Hello, and welcome to the Shameless Plugs. I wanted to do an updated version because I no longer have Patreon. I don't know if anyone has seen, and down in the description field, the first shameless plug I would like to do is for my Cash App and my PayPal account. If you can donate, please, please, please donate today. I actually had one donation, but that was more for my birthday. So anyway, if you can donate, please see the links in the description field for my PayPal and my Cash App. I'd like to start off by saying also, and I will say this at the end, I have an AI outro that is AI generated. I actually made a country song dedicated to Curt. I made several. Just in case, there also maybe in the future or right now is going to be an AI intro. So I just want to let you know that the intro also could be AI, and this is for Amazon. This is for YouTube only. YouTube only. So the first shameless plug I would like to do is Kit Cabello. He is one of my great, great friends. I love him to death. And what a great man, great guy, all around great friend as well. You can catch him on Heartlands Media. That's 9 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday. And he will tell it like it is. Trust me, he will tell it like it is. Can't say enough great things about Kit Cabello. Also, check out Angel Riviera. He is in Angel in the Afternoon, and of course, he is my host for Pro Wrestling Talk. Pro Wrestling Talk is every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though those are scheduled to change due to family issues or WrestleMania or a pay-per-view. Also, I would like you to, but definitely check out Angel in the Afternoon. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he also tells it like it is. Way to go, Angel. Okay, on to deconstructing topics. My big brother, Dave. I can't say enough great things about Dave. He is a big supporter of mine, and I'm a big supporter of him. If you check out Deconstructing Topics, he has his own show. I'm not sure what episode he's on right now, but he has a great podcast. Please, please, please listen to it. You can check it out on YouTube. I don't know if he's on Rumble, but I'll see if I can get a Rumble link All these links are in the description field if you want to check these people out. Also, I'd like to mention my little kid brother, Alex Knight. We are actually not really related, but I see him like a little brother. So anyway, Alex Knight, you can find him on Angel in the Afternoon. You can also catch him on Pro Wrestling Talk. And I think he's going to do a baseball podcast with Angel as well. So check that out. That'll be on Sundays. I'm not sure the time. I'll have to get that from Angel later. But I just want to make sure that you check him out because he is a great person and someone I can call friend and little brother. The next shameless plug I'd like to do really fast is Black Magic Talk is my other show, guys. If you would like to check that out, all you have to do is click the link in the description field, and blessed be to you if you are also a witch, wizard, or warlock, or whatever you call yourself. You can check that out in the description field. We have a lot of fun over there. I love to have on special guests, especially Sonia Smith. She's a very dear friend of mine. I hope you will subscribe to all these people on YouTube or on Rumble. We are also on Rumble. The Rumble description field, the link is in the description field. Sorry. If you would like to check that out, this will be going on YouTube, of course, because I don't need this for Rumble. I could put it on Rumble. I think I might. So if you are on Rumble watching this and you would like to see the YouTube version of this, it's mostly audio that you will see, except for this part, right? Just check us out on YouTube. The link is in the description field. And again, if you want to check out Black Magic Talk, you can check that out too, where we talk everything pagan and Wiccan. There is no evil or black magic, of course. It's all great fun, and we have a good time. If you like a personal tarot reading from me, click the link in the description field below. I can get you my, my pricing and stuff. If you would like to be a guest on the Black Magic Talk, or if you'd like to be on Pro Wrestling Talk, you can DM me on X. My X is in the description field for both Black Magic Talk and for Curt Hennig podcast. Go ahead and hit those in the description field and DM me, and feel free to ask if you'd like to be a guest. If there's anything else, concerns, or if you would like to just give feedback, you can always DM us on X and so on. Just want to mention my Cash App and my PayPal account are in the description field. If you can give to the show, great. If not, please enjoy the show. That's what we are mainly here for, just for your entertainment purposes only. And again, I will reiterate that the AI outro song is AI generated. That is for everyone, for Rumble and for YouTube. Also, there could be an AI intro song. Just want to let you know that if there's ever an intro song, it is AI generated on YouTube. I created a couple of songs here and there, a couple of country songs I think that Curt would like. So I hope you check those out. And remember, everyone, nobody beats Mr. Perfect or Curt Hennig. Nobody.
I remember those nights in the TV glow, watching you a hero in the ring. With every match, you'd steal the show, making us believe in impossible things. Golden locks and a confident stride, wrestling through battles both big and small. With a perfect plex, you turned the tide, Mr. Perfect, you had it all. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Behind the glitz and all the fame was a man with strength and grace. Though we never knew your name, you left a mark time can't erase. I can still hear that entrance theme echoing through arenas and TV screens. Mr. Perfect, you are a guiding light. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Oh, Mr. Perfect, where'd you go? In our hearts, you still steal the show. In a world that's moved too fast, your legacy's meant to last. Behind the glitz and all the fame was a man with strength and grace. Though we never knew your name, you left a mark time can't erase. Though we never knew your name, you left a perfect. You were a guide.